Paragons in Guild Wars 1 were a very powerful class because they had a spear which could do decent ranged damage over time, but they were mostly powerful because they had the ability to give offensive buffs to their allies through shouts, and this was really great in a lot of endgame content and PvP, so it was a pretty well-loved class. But with the addition of spears to the warrior in Guild Wars 2, we can now play a Paragon playstyle in PvP because we can share boons to our allies with shouts and the might sharing abilities from tactics, and then we can do a decent amount of damage from range with the spear. And so in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to play the Paragon Spellbreaker build for warrior in PvP, and I'll be showing the build, the skill combos, and some gameplay. So let's just get straight in. I go for the Berserker Amulet with the Rune of the Fighter, just as much damage as possible, and then a little bit of toughness so that we don't get instantly bursted. There isn't too much active evasion on this build, even though it does have a good amount. It's not really a duelist build, it's a DPS, so we do want to have a little bit of sustain, but we're mostly focusing on damage and team kind of supportive abilities. Then we go for the Relic of the Twin Generals. This gives us might, and it gives enemies weakness whenever we use our heal skill. And our heal skill is a pretty low cooldown. The internal cooldown of Relic of the Generals is 10, but mending is 20. So the reason why this is so good is because we have the Phalanx Strength trait, which gives the might that we gain ourselves to allies. And this means that whenever we use an ability that also shares might to allies, it doubles that, right? And so whenever we use a burst skill, we give 3 might to all nearby allies, so it's actually giving 6. We're using For Great Justice here. That gives 12 might to myself and all allies. And so since I share all the might that I gain from Phalanx Strength, that's actually 24 might to allies. So we're nuking our allies with massive might whenever we're using this AoE might capabilities because of Phalanx Strength. And so this is also going to give us a lot of healing from Mending Might, because whenever we apply might, per instance of might, it's going to heal us. So this is great sustain in situations where you're with your allies. You don't really want to be alone. Now on the spear, I go for Battle Sigil and Courage Sigil. So these are just might generating sigils, which is going to give me, my allies, more damage and me more sustain because of the Mending Might trait. So I feel like this is just the best option here. And then for the Sword and Warhorn, which is our more defensive kind of like combo enabling set, we're going to use Energy Cleansing for like kiting around. So that's pretty much the gear there. Now the traits, tactics, we go for Leg Specialist. This gives us an immobilize whenever we cripple a target every 12 seconds per target. So this is really powerful on the Spear 2 because this is a cripple, and that will immobilize them so that they get hit by the second detonation of that skill. So they'll get hit by that. And that can also make it easier for you to land your Spear 3, which is also a immobilize, but it will also daze. And because we've got the no escape trait, it will essentially do a very long immobilize. So we can do the 2 into 3 combo, and you can see the immobilize lasts for a really long time. And that's just perfect for setting up the Spear 4, which requires you to hit the first hit to land this kind of like flurry of attacks. And because they're immobilized, they can't dodge that, and it ensures that the Spear Marshal's support will land. So the 2, 3, 4 combo is very common, and then afterwards you'll use your Harrier's Toss, which is a pretty good burst damage in an area. It's an evade frame as well, so while you're in the air, you're dodging. And then, yeah, that's pretty much the burst combo. So you're going to do 2, 3, 4, and we're going to use F1 and For Great Justice, obviously, while that's all happening, to get you the most might possible. You got 25 might, and even though this build is pretty supportive with that combo, you'll do a lot of damage. So the other traits that we're going for here are the Empower Allies, just more might, and Discipline, just the normal discipline stuff. So we've got Warrior Sprint, Burst Mastery as well, which gives us more damage on our F1 skills. And then in Spellbreaker, we have the No Escape, which immobilizes whenever we daze, and Stun, but our really only daze is going to be the 3 skill or full counter. So when you use full counter, you are going to be setting up immobilizes, and that can be quite a bit of presence for your team because we've also got Revenge Counter, which copies conditions. So it immobilizes and then gives other conditions. Then we just gain some extra adrenaline whenever we remove boons. Remember that every time you CC, you are removing boons as a Spellbreaker. So your F2 is a boon removal, and your 3 skill is a boon removal, and your 5 skill, which is a evade, kind of like knockback attack, will also knock back. So that's a CC. So we don't have too much CC on this build. It's mostly about supporting our allies through the immobilize rather than like hard CC, which I guess immobilize is kind of like a hard CC, but not really. I'd say it's in between a soft CC and a hard CC. But now we've got the sword weapon set here, and the sword 2, which, by the way, all the sword skills do really good power damage now because they've been buffing it over time. So this is a great power weapon for a berserker build, and it has great utility because we've got a lot of cripple and immobilize. So the sword 2, we can leap in, that's a cripple, so that's an immobilize. Now we can hit them with the sword 3, which is a little bit slow, and that's because we've got the immobilize. Now the F1 we can also use, which will immobilize even further. So we can generally do the combo of go in with the 2, land the immobilize 3, and then immobilize them again. And the flurry does a decent amount of damage. It's not amazing damage, but it's good enough. It's probably your best option instead of auto attacking. And then we've got the Warhorn 4 and 5, which give a decent amount of support to your allies for a build that doesn't really heal because none of this scales with healing power. So we've got swiftness and quickness on charge, and it removes movement inhibiting conditions. This can be great for doing combos with flurry, so we can do the charge into flurry, and then we can use for great justice, decent amount of damage real quick. And then the 5 skill gives vigor and barrier and 3 condition cleanse. So you always want to be using this off cooldown in these large team fights because it just gives so much support, and as a full kind of like DPS build, it doesn't require any like defensive scaling for you to get this value, so it's really valuable. I also take the battle standard because we're in team fights, and so we want to be making these plays where we finish enemies or reviving our allies, because if our allies die, then we have no one to help, right? We don't want to be alone, so keeping our allies alive without having any healing, right, from the battle standard is going to be pretty clutch. So that's pretty much the skills. You know, you've got your basic stun breaks here, and then we just stuck in for great justice. Mending, very normal heal skill, cleanse a lot of conditions, and it shares out might and weakness to enemies. So what are the main combos, right? So in a team fight, we're going to be doing 4 and 5 pretty much off cooldown. If we want to open with our sword, obviously we're going to go in with the sword 2 into 3, and then we'll flurry them, and we could stop using the flurry early by swapping weapons or stowing weapon, and then we can immediately go into the spear combo, which is 2, 3, 4 for great justice, F1, and that does a good amount of damage when we've got 25 might, and that's pretty much it. So you're just going to be doing these combos over and over, the 2, 3, 4 combo with the spear F1, and then the 2, 3, F1 combo in sword, and then just giving out the charge whenever possible. Now also remember, full counter is going to recharge your F1. So the Harrier's Toss is going to give you an evade frame, then the full counter is going to give you another evade frame, and then you can do Harrier's Toss again. And so in a way, your spear is your more defensive weapon than sword. Now sword has the leap, which you can use to get away from enemies, but that's pretty much it. You don't have any evades on this. You've got the cleanse and you've got the immobilize removal, but after that you kind of want to be in your spear to get off the evades from your F1, and F2 will give you more value on your F1 than it will in the flurry. So here's a full match in the new push beta map. This build is really good in this game mode because it has so much support for its allies, and we're going to be constantly guaranteed huge team fights the entire time. So we're going to get value from our Warhorn and from our might sharing, which also is going to give us more sustain ourselves. Now I am in a really bad spot here because I can't use my full counter, and I'm getting chased by a Lich form Necro who's decided that it's my turn to die. I use for great justice, and that heals me for like 6k because I heal all of my allies, or give it to all my allies, which keeps me alive long enough for my team to basically rally me here. And yeah, I was wondering if this Necro had something against me because he just ran straight at me. But we're going to use our heal skill to get up here and just give our allies some might as usual, which is going to help them win these fights. And we're just going to start pushing. So get opened on by an axe thief here. I get the immobilize on them, which is pretty nice, but they have a lot of conditions on me already. I get interrupted in my heal, and I'm in a pretty dangerous spot here, so I'm just gonna get my heal off with the quickness from the Warhorn 4, but I'm still just getting spammed with CCs, so I just back off and try to use my spear on their Scourge here from afar. And yeah, I'm just getting hit with tons of conditions, so I'm going to try to just get out of combat, reset, which is going to leave my team outnumbered for a bit, but if I die, it's going to do the same thing, so I'd rather give them less time outnumbered by just resetting here real quick. So now they're trying to push, and I put down the Spear 2 into the Spear 3, but they have Aegis, so they block that, unfortunately. And I'm getting hit with some CCs. You got to be careful with these CCs because they're going to be spammed on you all the time in this mode, especially if you're standing on the node. We're going to use the F1 here to evade the 5 skill as well. And let's land a Spear 3 there. 5k. I think that hit a clone. That's why I did so much damage. But yeah, we're just going to reset again. We don't have any support in our comp, so we're going to be a little bit out comped here because basically in this mode you're going to be team fighting all the time, right? And while I do support, I don't actually heal, and so healing is really important. You want to have another support on your team. This is like a more offensive niche support, and the actual role of support is not being fulfilled by this build. This is more of a DPS build because it's providing damage to your team by giving your team more damage, right? So this is pure DPS. Now I'm going to come back in and try to help my team survive here with the banner, which is always nice. And then I'm going to immobilize their Scourge and then land my spear combo. They pop down their elite here, which is really dangerous, but I need to really do something now because we're getting Lich formed on. I immobilize them, and actually that's kind of nice because Lich forms can't actually hit things behind them. So we're going to be able to survive long enough to give our team might to keep us very healthy. Land a nice little final thrust there, but they're going to go in Shroud, and our team is alive now, so I'm just going to immobilize them, and we're doing tons of damage while they're immobilized to get that kill really fast. And now their Spellbreaker is standing on the node. We've actually got the buff here, which I capped underneath their nose. I see my allies down behind me, but I want to push the objective more so than res them, because no one else is doing that, and so maybe someone else could res. I get weakness out using the heal skill with the Twin General's Relic, and just trying to throw out some damage out. So we got the buff, so we're going to be moving the payload regardless of whether the enemy's standing inside, and we get a nice little combo on them and get a couple down. So we're going to keep pushing. Now we're going to give our buffs, and the enemy team is respawning, so we're going to be fighting them soon here, but we're getting a decent amount of push going on. Now, we're going to try to land our immobilize from the 2, but we get interrupted, so we end up having to use the 3 first. The 2 misses now, so not good, but we're going to use full counter to immobilize them again, give charge to our allies, quickness to use my heal because the Scourge's elite is down, give our boys the cleansing and the barrier from the Warhorn 5 there, and then we're just going to keep doing our spear skills. Always just keep doing the spear combos because we're constantly doing damage, and then while you're waiting for adrenaline by swapping weapons, just give support to your allies with the Warhorn and try to set up your next combo with the immobilize from the sword set. So yeah, that's pretty much how you're going to be playing this build. But in this situation, we've got the Core Necro here. We land a nice immobilize from the 2 into 3 into 4 combo, and you can see we just obliterate them because our team is able to follow up on that damage while we're immobilizing them. So you're never going to get top damage on this build, even though we do a lot of damage. Well, maybe you will, but essentially you're investing a lot of damage into buffing your allies and not so much into your own damage. And then you're also buffing your allies. So it's really, the damage that you're doing is hard to like calculate, but it is really there. You can just see it. You don't need to see the end of game screen where it says you did top damage to know that you were causing a lot of damage to the enemy by giving out might, by immobilizing enemies, and securing kills by allowing your team to burst down targets, because that's really how PvP works in this game. And I see this a lot in PvE as well, where people are like, well, it doesn't do damage. Well, yeah, that's because you're trying to gauge the effectiveness of a build in this game by a sheer number of damage dealt, when Guild Wars 2 is so much more intricate than just DPS meters like they have in, you know, Final Fantasy and WoW. It's different because burst potential and CC combos and utility are just so much more relevant when you're playing a game where movement is so powerful. And so giving your team this utility, I feel, is something that is hard to calculate, but is something that is it performs well, right? So that's my idea for this build. It is actually pretty good RP build as well, because we've got the pure Sun Spear RP with the Spellbreaker, we've got the Spear, so it's basically a Paragon. Now we're getting chased here by we've got feared as well. I ran out of stun breaks, so we're going to get taken out here, and I could rally on their Scourge here, but it looks like we're not going to rally. Oh, okay, we do rally. I was about to Vengeance there, but they left me down. In this mode, you generally don't want to cleave immediately. You want to get some value off of your downs because the respawn timers are kind of low. But yeah, they got punished for that anyways, and we're just going to keep pushing because of that. We got a nice momentum shift, and our team is a bunch of Willbenders, by the way. So Willbender's pretty strong right now, and the fact that I can give them all might is making our team comp pretty good. So we might be out-comping the enemy team, even though we don't have a support, because Willbenders kind of give stability to allies, and I'm giving a little bit of cleansing to them. And so there's a decent amount of, you know, support in this team, despite not having any like healer, like a dedicated healer. So yeah, it can be nice for these kind of like niche comps, but obviously support is just going to be better as it's just easier to play. We've done most of the combos, right? We've shown the combos where I land the spear, the sword 2 into the sword 3 as well. You want to be landing that, and from there, yeah, you're pretty much gonna be doing a lot of damage. As long as you survive, keep your allies alive, they're going to be doing damage with you. So if you guys like this content, then obviously like the video, subscribe for more, and I will see you all next time.